Hello, everybody. This is Little Frosted. Today we are talking about why fursuits are so expensive. So here's the thing. Okay, fursuits are expensive because each fursuit's different. It has to fit the person who is buying very well. That's why some of them have duct tape dummies, which duct tape dummies are pretty much when you surround wrap yourself in plastic wrap, do duct tape on top of yourself, and that would be the dummy. That would be the dummy that is used for the fursuit to perfectly fit you. So that way they get your right body size, they get the right angles and everything. They know how long your arms are, etc., without having to rely on numbers, because as much as it'll be easier probably to use a tape measure, each country has different measurements. It's kind of easier to just use a duct tape dummy for that. And so not only that, it has to fit you perfectly, so that way when you move around and everything, you don't have any bagginess on you. You don't have that extra fluff that you don't need. And not only that, but it's your specific character. If you have a fursona, which, if you don't know what a fursona is, I will link that video down below or in the note cards. It's all good. But here's a quick little thing of it. Fursona is a character that represents you. That in itself is what is so important, is that once you make that fursona and everything, you have to have that costume that you're paid for, to be exact. You don't want extra lines where there's no extra line. You don't want extra ear or anything like that unless the character calls for it. Some designs of people's characters need to be fursuit friendly. So if it is sort of a lot of spots, some fursuit makers will not do that. Some of them will, but it'll take extra care for that. It will require extra hours. It will require a lot of more detail and everything. And not only that, but if you wash it and everything, you're gonna have to be extra careful because you don't want the seams to break. Because the more spots, the more lines or stripes or designs you have on it, the weaker the fursuit is gonna be, because it's all stitched up together instead of it being one piece where you don't have to worry so much about it ripping or tearing. Now, as for how expensive it is, it's also has to be because of the extra things you would require in the fursuit if you like to have it in fursuit. For example, if you want a fan, so that way it could stay cool inside the head a little longer, so that way you could stay in the fursuit a little longer, then you will say, hey, can I get a fan in there? That will cost a little extra bucks. If the eyes glow, or the teeth, or whichever claws, if they glow, then that will require LED lights. That will require some some technical stuff to add on to the fursuit. That in itself will require more money. The more stuff you add on to the fursuit, the more money it will cost. And not only that, but also some people make a living out of this. Not only because it's fun for them, it's interesting and everything, but they want to make money off of something that they like to do. They don't just do it for charity or anything. No, they do it so that way they could live off of that money. It would cost money to get the fur, the foam. It costs money to ship. It costs money to get the wires for the fans and LEDs. It costs money to get the battery packs for those things. It costs money for all of that. And it takes a long time to put all those things together in order to make that perfect suit for you. So that way they could make those fursuits that you desire. It costs that much because they live off of that. And not only that, but also think of like, oh, they have to pay rent, they have to buy food, they have to pay the bills. You know, if they have pets, they have to pay the vet bill. They have to buy extra food, not only for themselves, but also for the pet. They have to buy pet-related things. They have to replace furniture. They have to have if they have a house, they have to pay off the house, etc., etc. It requires a lot just to live, and so thinking of that, when you buy from a fursuit maker, especially one of the main, big name fursuit makers, they are most likely living off of that. Not only that, but if they have multiple people doing the fursuit thing with them, building that fursuit for you, they're gonna have to pay those people in order for them to continue building and helping out to make that fursuit for you. So there is a lot going into making a fursuit. They're just not gonna make a fursuit for free. No. They're gonna make a fursuit and then they're gonna live off of that payment, so that way it's a sustainable job. At least for the most part. Because depending on the fursuit makers and everything, if they're just starting out, they're not gonna ask for much. That's why some people often request people or ask people hey, instead of just going to the big main brand, why don't you go to the smaller brand or something like that, the starter fursuit makers, the ones who are just starting out, because it does cost less, though the quality may not be up to standards. There are some really good fursuit makers that are just starting, and even though it may not be up to brand of the big brands, so what? You're getting your first fursuit, why not help them out while you do it? Help out the small makers, so that way they themselves can start building up to be those main brand fursuit maker. You know what I mean? It's just help out the community by paying for the smaller brand, not just hoping to get the big brands of fursuit makers. There are plenty of others out there that don't cost as much. There are also plenty of websites they go to for fursuits and everything. One of them that I will say is very good to go to if you want to get a fursuit for cheap. And I mean cheap as in it costs $2,000, $3,000, depending on who made the suit and depending on what the suit is. If you're not too sure of oh, I just want to get a fursuit just so I feel it out but not have my character attached to it, that's fine. The website is called The Dealer's Den, and you just go out there, and there's some fursuits that are up for auction, some fursuits that are for buying. Heck, I think there's a commission tab, so you could look who's commissioning to get a fursuit and everything. You just have to make sure you look out for some scammers, not just Dealer's Den, but any websites, because there will be scammers out there who will try to get you to pay them. Then you're gonna have to ask for them to show off some of their brands or some of their recent makings, so that way you can tell whether or not if it's ripped off of someone else's pictures of creations, or if it's actually legit and they themselves made it. You have to be very careful because there are scammers out there, and you have to be very careful what websites you go to, because some websites are scam websites. Some websites are just awful websites like mascots or something like that. If they say mascots, automatically scam. Okay? No fursuit maker says mascots in their title. If it's a long title, like a very long title, scam. If it's simply a name of a animal that doesn't look like what it is, like if they say, oh, it's a Dutch dragon, when really it's just a wolf head, scam. Just use your logic and be very careful, because they will try to get you. Do some research and you'll be okay. Now, I hope you like this video. If not, that's fine, and leave a like, comment, subscribe, and stay frosty, my friend. Laters.